Welcome. In this video, we will tell you 2 terrifying stories. I hope you enjoy watching. The first story is called The Pillow. There was a young girl named Alicia who moved with her parents to a new town. They rented a big old house that was sparsely furnished. Alicia slept in the downstairs bedroom while her parents slept upstairs. After they had been living there a few weeks, Alicia's parents noticed that she was growing very thin. As the days went on, her health seemed to get worse and worse. Then, the poor girl came down with a mysterious illness and was confined to her bed. The doctor came to examine her, and he told her parents that she was suffering from anemia. All she needed was some rest, he said, and soon she would be as good as new. However, despite what the doctor said, Alicia's condition continued to get worse and worse. Her skin was gray and pallid, her cheeks were sunken, and there were dark circles around her eyes. Her parents were distraught and had no idea what to do. While Alicia slept in her bed, her mother and father paced back and forth restlessly, wondering what could be the cause of her mysterious illness. Day by day, and hour by hour, the poor girl grew worse and worse. She was so weak, she could barely move. Alicia was fading fast, and the life was ebbing from her veins. She was deathly pale, and her body was shriveled and withered. She started to have hallucinations, and began screaming out in terror, and babbling incoherently, in a weak voice. Finally, Alicia lost consciousness, and died. Her parents were inconsolable. They held a funeral service, and buried the beloved daughter in the town cemetery. The day after the funeral, Alicia's mother was stripping the sheets off her daughter's bed, when she noticed something on the pillow. There were 2 red stains in the white material. When she picked up the pillow, she noticed it was unusually heavy. So, she called her husband to come and take a look at it. As the parents examined the pillow closely, the mother suddenly let out a scream. She felt something moving inside it. The father fetched a knife and slit open the pillow, emptying the feathers out on the floor. As the parents watched in horror, something crawled out of the pile of feathers, slowly moving its hairy legs. It was a monstrous black spider, so swollen with blood that they could scarcely make out its mouth. Night after night, as Alicia lay in bed, this hairy abomination had been stealthily sucking all of the blood from her body, and slowly draining her life away. The second story is called The Shadows. It was a typical Tuesday night, when the shadows started to move. At first, I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. I had been working late, and the long hours were starting to take their toll. But, as the night wore on, the shadows grew more active. They seemed to dance and twist, almost as if they were alive. I tried to ignore them and focus on my work, but the feeling of unease wouldn't go away. I decided to call it a night, and headed out to my car. As I walked down the deserted street, the shadows followed me. They seemed to be growing larger and more menacing. With each passing moment, I quickened my pace, feeling the chill of fear creeping up my spine. But, the faster I walked, the closer the shadows got. They were everywhere, engulfing me in an inky blackness that I couldn't escape. As I reached my car, I fumbled with the keys, my heart pounding in my chest. I finally managed to unlock the door and jumped inside. I locked the doors and took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down. But then, I saw movement in the rearview mirror. The shadows were still following me, and they seemed to be getting closer. I hit the gas and sped away, but the shadows stayed with me. I tried to shake them off, but they clung to my car like a dark cloud. I drove through the deserted streets, feeling as if I was being pursued by some malevolent force. Finally, I pulled into my driveway and ran inside, locking the door behind me. The shadows swirled around the windows, almost as if they were trying to get in. I could hear them whispering, calling out to me, in a language I couldn't understand. I tried to call the police, but the phone line was dead. I was alone and trapped, with no escape from the shadows that surrounded me. As the night wore on, the shadows grew more aggressive. They started to take on grotesque forms, twisting and writhing in a way that made my skin crawl. They seemed to be feeding off my fear, growing stronger with each passing moment. I knew I had to find a way to break their hold on me. I searched the house for anything that could help, but nothing seemed to work. The shadows just kept getting closer, and I could feel the cold breath on my neck. Then I remembered something my grandmother had told me when I was a child. She had said that the only way to banish the shadows was to face them head on. I mustered all my courage and stepped out into the hallway. The shadows swirled around me, their black tendrils reaching out to touch me. But I stood my ground, refusing to give in to their terror. Slowly but surely, the shadows began to recede. They shrank back into the corners of the room, their shapes becoming less defined. And then they were gone, leaving behind only a faint scent of sulfur. I was relieved, but I knew that the shadows would be back. They were a constant threat, lurking just beneath the surface of my world. But I was ready for them now. I had faced my fears and come out the other side. And I knew that I would be ready the next time they came for me. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.